Once, many centuries ago, there existed a beautiful village where everyone in the village existed in a state of love, peace, and innocence. There was a powerful sense of oneness that prevailed in the village. There was no sense of separation or alienation. There was no ambition or greed. There was no fear. There was not even any desire, because everyone in the village was completely fulfilled by the richness and abundance of the present moment. There was a strong sense of timelessness and the eternal. Not one clock or watch could be found anywhere in the village. It very rarely happened that anyone would leave the village. There was no reason to leave, and yet one fateful day, one of the villagers, a young man, decided to leave in search of adventure in distant and unknown places. Shortly after his departure, a terrible curse fell upon the village. Unknown to all the villagers, the water in the drinking well in the village became poisoned. To this day, no one knows how it happened, but its effect upon the villagers was profound. As a result of drinking the poisoned water, they very gradually began to change. They began to feel separate from each other and disconnected from the earth and the trees and the sky. They began to feel fear and insecurity for the first time in their lives. Because it was happening very slowly and at such a subtle level, and because it was happening to everyone at the same time, no one really noticed the change. Slowly, people began to develop ways to protect themselves against imagined fears. They began to accumulate possessions to make themselves feel more secure. Ambition and greed arose in many of them. They began to think a lot about the future and how to make it safe and comfortable for themselves. And in so doing, they were no longer focused in the present moment. The more they sought fulfillment and safety in the future, the more unsafe and empty they felt. And so their greed and ambition multiplied almost daily. They began to steal from each other. Fights broke out in the village. The strong began to dominate the weak. The men began to dominate the women. The rich began to dominate and exploit the poor. The villagers found themselves judging each other. Love and acceptance became conditional. It was a sorry state of affairs indeed. Then one day the young man returned. He was shocked and amazed at what he encountered and immediately guessed that the water supply was at the root of the problem. He began to speak out against what had happened. He cautioned them against drinking the water. He tried to tell them that they were lost in illusion. He pointed out who and what they had become. He told them who they really are and what life was like before the change. He told them of the love and the peace and the oneness that was their true nature. He tried to get them to see that they had become lost in the world of their thinking and imagining minds. He pointed out to them that they were seeking fulfillment in the future, and that they must return to the present moment, which was the only true place of fulfillment and safety. He told them that they had become so lost in the mind and their thoughts and ideas and opinions that they no longer had access to the truth. He told them that they had disconnected from God and that they now believed in God rather than lived in the direct experience of oneness with God. His words fell on deaf and angry ears. "You are the strange one," they protested. "Everyone here is living the same life. We are the normal ones. You are the odd one out. If you keep talking in this way, no one will speak to you." And so the young man fell silent. He saw that he could not awaken the villagers out of their dream, but he was determined not to drink the well water himself. He would remain present and awake, even if he was the only one. He collected rainwater as often as possible to quench his thirst. He continued to live a life of love, presence, and compassion. Every now and then he would try to wake the villagers out of their illusory dream, but to no avail. As the months passed, he began to feel terribly alone. He felt so different to everyone else in the village. He really was the odd one out. Oh, how he longed for the company of others. One day it occurred to him that he had a very difficult choice to make. He could drink the water from the well and join them in their unconsciousness. At least he would not be so alone. Or he could simply stay in the village, avoiding the well water, and remain present and awake. He decided to remain in the village, hoping that one day the villagers would remember who they really are. Every now and then he would speak to the villagers, reminding them of the life they had lived before the change. Finally, several of the villagers began to see through the veils of illusion. They began to awaken. Then something remarkable happened. One by one, all the villagers began to awaken. It was not long before the entire village was restored to what it had once been. Now they were present rather than caught in the past or future. They chose the truth over their opinions and beliefs, and they were restored to oneness with God. The villagers were so relieved and so grateful to the young man for showing them the way. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and if you feel inclined, please subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of my latest videos. Thank you so much.